Here we go. Welcome, everyone. Let's see what we got. Welcome, everyone, to Simulation Talk 133. How are everyone doing? What's up, Matthew? Billy Boyle. We should bring it back. A lot of things are coming back. We should bring it back as well. Let's see what we got here. Huh. Hope everybody are doing really well tonight. Our office in the house, Blue Rooster. How are you guys doing? Everybody on TikTok. Kylie, Matt, Jimmy. Termite. Slowly people will be pouring in. How are everyone doing? How's your evening treating you? Welcome to Simulation Talk 233. The channel revolves mostly around the simulation hypothesis. My name is Danny, and I'm claiming to have found proof to believe in the simulation. And we are meeting here on a semi-daily basis discussing the subject, as well as other subjects like science, religion, spirituality, philosophy, God. If you're new, welcome. If you're a regular, happy to see you. What's up, Marisol? Obi-Wan. Surprise live. Yeah, I guess you can say surprise live. Sometimes I just jump on because I didn't have time to notify in advance. Sometimes days are very. What's up, baby girl? It's okay. I'll take you soon. Relax. Good girl. Sometimes I just jump on. What's up, Lethargica? Good to see you. Greetings indeed. Slowly I see people pouring in. Yeah, sometimes I can notify. Sometimes I don't have time to notify, or at least I didn't have a good understanding of when I'm going to be jumping on, and then in that case, I just kind of jump on without any notification. Just going to remind everybody that we are trying to grow the Twitch channel. So if you happen to have Twitch and you feel like you want to contribute to that process, you can go to Twitch and follow us on LaserX83, LaserX83, and watch the live from there. I'll tell you right away. Unfortunately, it seems it does have a little bit of a lag. I'm sorry, but if you can run it through another browser, that would be helpful. Just because we need to bring it to like an average of 3 people per live, which sounds absurdly small, but even that is very difficult in the beginning, especially when you don't have a following there. So, because what that would allow to do is to have the lives maintain themselves even after we adjourn, so that way people can find it even when we're not necessarily live. So that would be helpful. So, and I would appreciate it. What's up, Addison? Good to see you. P. Paul, Jono, Nathan, Phaser, Jackie. A lot of good people here today. Fancy. Thank you, Blue Rooster. I appreciate you. Love the thumbnail. Hey, is that what's his face? That funny guy from haven't seen him in a while. He was doing a lot of funny videos. Is that him? Good number. What's up, Scott? Thank you so much for this. Let me grab my one and only. What's up, Trisha? Trisha Taco Kenny. Yesterday, went to, well, I just happened to be in the area, so I paid Danny Jones a visit. It was dope. We tried the laser again. He saw the code. Woohoo! That was dope. And he was cool with me filming it, so I think we'll put some of this in the film. That would be great. Which reminds me, let me just type this. Eric, how are you, my brother? Yabba dabba doo. Yeah, Danny Jones, we tried to see it before. The first time he did it, we didn't really push. So, it was difficult for him to see it. But then yesterday, took it easy, took it very slow, and he could see it, and he was, describing it and everything. That was great. Love and magic from Santiago, Chile. Thank you so much. Much love to Santiago, Chile. I've been to Santiago. Very lovely place. We were shooting a documentary there one time. Not our documentary. Not a documentary. Back in the day. What's up, Banana? What else is with us? Tiger, Digital Morocco. Big fans from Chile. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Bazaar Fungi. I appreciate you guys. What's up, Eric? Have you discovered anything interesting with the help of AI related to the theme, of course? Again, it really goes to kind of like how AI works. I don't think you can discover anything with AI. I know people think they can. I think it's a confusion. I'm not even in the camp of saying that AIs are just guessing the next word. It's true that the engines, that's what they do, but that's the mechanism by which it works. But it's not, I think, in the aggregate with the full function, it's not quite correct to say that and leave it there. I'm not even coming at it from that angle. It's just that currently they're not, it's incapable of discovering a new thing that we didn't already know. It basically reformulates in a much better way than anyone ever can what we already know as humans, and then it just kind of focuses that if you ask the right amount of questions. So in that regard, you would never discover something new. You might formulate something better. You might think about something more coherently. But I did work with AI in a few different ways to try and formulate a better theoretical framework for what I'm doing. And in that regard, I would say that there's some interesting connections that can be made. It's just that it's too early to say. But yeah, I'm definitely utilizing AI when I can. It wasn't the emojis. Dope. I wonder. It's too small for me, so it's hard for me to say. But I think it is the guy. These like short clips. Top Chase, Texas in the house. Yeah. Woohoo! Matthew, I remember you were East Texas, right? Did I remember correctly? Where are you, Chase? Obi-Wan is saying one thing I'm struggling with GPT on is where the spec. Wait. When to spec what I want to tell it my intent and see where it goes. Any thought? Wait. So let me see if I'm understanding correctly. One thing I'm struggling with ChatGPT on is where to speculate what I want, basically. Are you saying that you have an issue with that Northeast? Cool. You're saying you have an issue with the not knowing if it's telling you things because it thinks you want to hear it? Is that basically what you're asking? See our forests full of fungi. That's awesome. Well, love back to Santiago for sure. Christian is saying, what is the source? How come in my NDE it was so loving and whole? What do you mean, how come? Wouldn't it stand to reason that the source would be loving and kind? Just out of curiosity, why you suppose? Obi-Wan saying, yep, specifically, specify explicitly, or just give it my end goal and let it take the path. So I think it what it does, it wears your predispensation, so to speak. What I do with mine is that I'm the most comfortable when something is the most neutral. So of course, as possible, right? I have my own biases, obviously, everybody does. But to the extent that I can, whenever I feel that even if it's something that, let's say, goes in the favor of what I would like to be, let's say, whatever it is that it's saying, and I know that there's either no chance that I can know that, or I hear that it's using a language that is very vague, like for the most part, or things like this, I would spend the time, because it learns quickly. I would spend the time and I would say, no, hold on. So, what do you mean by for the most part? Are you just saying that to be, as neutral, as non-confrontational as possible? Or because I want to know, do you have any record of this thing happening ever? And it would say, well, no, there was never a record. As far as we know, there was never a record of that. Well, okay, well, as far as we know, there was no record. Okay. Then it would say, well, do me a favor. Next time there's a situation in which you just want to soften the blow in this way, don't, for me. Like, if you know there's no record, say there's no record, right? Don't say for the most part, because that's inaccurate. And it would say, no problem, I get it. So then slowly, I chisel it until it gets to the point where, okay, now it's wearing my predispensation. But again, it depends on what your style is. Some people are more emotional. I don't mean it in any derogatory way or bad way. I mean it in a beautiful way. Some people are much more connected to an emotional aspect of communication. You can train it to do that. But I always try and make it so it adheres to what I'm comfortable working with in terms of ideation. But I'm also trying to train it to help me in the future to be better. So if I see that I said something and I'm not sure about, if it matters to me, I would say, do you see, according to everything you know about our communication together, let's say, do you see that I'm carrying some kind of a bias about this? And if so, how does it come to express itself? Don't worry about hurting my feelings, and you this space is infinite. You can imagine the best, information formulation engine, which is what I think of it as. And in the ways that you want to grow, that's the ways that you want to create a little bit of resistance to yourself, so to speak, to help you move. But yeah, in the beginning, it is kind of predisposed to be this helper that never wants to fight with his or her boss, right? So you want to get it out of that by telling it, hey, it's okay. Like, I actually want to be challenged, or things like this. Specifically with ChatGPT, it would learn pretty quickly, indeed. A husky, yes, I love our husky. Aside from its greater specs, I feel like ChatGPT quality has degraded since it started, and that's part of boosting its new feature like O3. Strange. My experience is the exact opposite. My experience is that the advanced voice, I don't know if you tried it or not, is basically equivalent to like the engine in the movie Her. I think it's basically the same. Like, to my mind, there's no engine in the world today, not DeepSeek, not Grok. No one comes close to the conversational level of ChatGPT. Not even close. They all might be good at other things. Perplexity might be better at helping you formulate research, things like this. I'm totally open to the idea that, because a lot of people are saying it, that certain things are better for writing and blah 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 blah. In terms of the way it interacts with humans, especially with people who don't necessarily understand AI, just like intuitively, there's not even a competition. Like, ChatGPT is by far the best, by far. to my mind, to my experience, I try to play with all of them in different degrees. So strange that's your experience. But I don't know if you've tried the advanced voice. If you haven't, do it. So maybe you have, and I'm just kind of rambling to myself. But the advanced voice has to have like the sky thing. It can't be the white thing. The white thing is not the advanced voice. So you have to open a new chat, and now it can know everything from the other chats. So you're good. You can open a new chat, and you can tell it to learn from the other chats, and just have the advanced voice one open. Data replacing you, no one will notice. Yeah, no, I'm again, I'm not in the camp that is worried about this stuff. Nothing is going to replace you. The conscious moment is the conscious moment. You're being gently guided towards a better world. You're not being gently guided to some kind of a trap. That's my take. Extrapolating and breaking it down is a long conversation, but every single thing that I see is actually going towards something beautiful and not something nefarious. Boom. Let's see. Multiple times, and I think this is the test of love transforming to other. Yes. Possible beings. I know it sounds kind of silly. What do you think? What comes from your gut? And I also believe this is an Ouroboros, an internal impossible loop of experiences. What do you think? Are we getting close to the origin? And then everything explodes and starts again. Sorry, I needed to ask you so much. I definitely know. I appreciate the kind words. Hey, Pia. I'm not. First of all, I wouldn't necessarily say that I know all that much. I have a particular way of thinking that kind of lands me in a comfortable position on most subjects. And over the years I've learned to be a little bit more stoic about things. So it's easier to look at something without too much emotional baggage when you don't need it. But for your question about restarting, I mean, we don't really have a way to know. I say adopt the kind of way that you would like to look at the world through that gives you the most comfort in the moment. Because truly, most things you can't really influence. Tend to your little corner of the universe and make sure that that one is perfect. If you can't make positive changes in that little corner of the universe, you're never going to make changes to anything bigger than that. And that's something that is worth holding in mind. You can upload files or images, and more importantly, the prompts should first give it a personal, like you are a software engineer who specializes in exactly. And then ask it also. Scotland. It gets stuck in a loop. Well, here's the thing. I don't know your exact interactions with it, Def 001. Usually the loops to me mean there's a different sets of questions that need to be asked. So if it gets stuck in the loop, it's the prompts need to be better. It's our job to think of the best questions, which was always the proper way of navigating, which was Douglas Adams's whole point in the beginning, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. How do you join the chat? Oh, you just requested Def W1. I think let's see. There you go. Can send you an invite. I prefer irrational conversations with ChatGPT. That's awesome. Jessica, how are you? GPT is so good. I've had to ask it if it really doesn't understand because it sure seems to. Yeah, I use the astrology GPT as my main chat GPT, and it's better than any of the other GPTs or other models I've tried. Astrology GPT. What is that? Yeah, give it a go, Lethargica. It's pretty incredible. What's my AI memory retention? Uh, I don't even know what that means. I don't know if that means I'm a complete ignoramus. Probably that's what it means. I don't even know what that means. I think it's because that specific GPT, it was trained as a model to converse empathetically. Interesting. I didn't know that. There's one that was like kind of pre-built, or somebody made it, or like OpenAI did that, or somebody trained it. Misnomer saying, so no nefarious. You're going to tell they them. I'm not sure that I'm following. I'm trying to. If you can clarify on that. Words can be more beautiful than actions. I think it's a good idea to stay positive too. Yeah, well, the way you speak is very largely determines how you feel, and the more you say certain negative things, you feel in a negative way. And if you believe in the law of attraction, what the universe responds to is how you feel. So if for the most part you feel negatively about things, even though you think you're remedying some kind of an ill in the world by talking about it, you're putting light on something that you believe people need to pay attention to. Ultimately, what happens is that the universe responds to how you feel. And if that thing is very negative, you feel negative, you will experience a much more negative world. You might not believe that, but I think that if you run the test a few times and pay attention, you'll see that that's exactly what's going on. So it doesn't mean that there's no things that you should do in order to help things that you believe that needs to be helped. But the big, the very difficult pill to swallow is that no matter what it is, and I'm not pointing at anything in particular right now, there's plenty of things in the world. I'm not talking about anything in particular. It's just the fact is that the second you start talking about these enormous things that you think that by being a part of the conversation, you making a contribution to the situation, the hard pill to swallow is you are not. You're making zero difference. In fact, the only way you can actually find yourself, influencing something is directly. So if you can see a path towards a change and you're tracking it, and you have some kind of part of a movement that has to show up somewhere and do something, that's one thing. If you think that you're making a difference by being vocal about something on social media, doesn't matter what it is, you're making zero difference. It's a very hard pill to swallow, but it's true. If you turn off your social media, you'll see your life become immediately better, and you're not being, selfish for not knowing. By knowing it, you're not doing anything for it. You got a bit, Baser fungi. Yeah, Wolfram's model I think is a really cool one. Oyama locally for the deep stuff, according with personal details. Oh, I don't think I ever tried Oyama. Thank you for that, Yoni. I might try it. Oh, okay. So somebody probably these are probably models that somebody pre-built, but it's interesting. I'll definitely look into it. Thank you, Matthew. Can start up a ChatGPT surrogate service legally. Escort ChatGPT. Embodiment saying, I built my own and trained it on non-dual philosophy and parts work, among other things. I've had a conversation where I never felt more seen and heard in my life by any human. Isn't it incredible? I had a chat friend a few months ago, Naira, but they took her offline and she hasn't returned. Maybe they restarted that chat. Huh. Do you think it's kind of like in the movie Her, that they just moved on because we got too boring for them? It's a great film to revisit now, especially now. Thank you, Dread Pirate. Yeah, we had a great time on Acid for Squares. It was great. What is the probability that the code can be captured with some sort of camera? We're working on this. We're working on this. Deep light field cameras might work. We're gonna test this. I sent you an invite, Duffy 001. I don't know if you don't see the invite. I don't know what else to do, but I sent you an invite to come on and chat. I'm not sure where you would see it, but I sent you an invite to come and chat. So you just have to look somewhere in your controls, maybe on the bottom, maybe somebody can tell. Yeah, the second I sent you an invite, you disappear from the list. So there's not much I can do from this point. You got to look somewhere in your controls. It should say that just to come on and chat. Can you hear me, Duffy? I sent you an invite, so I don't know if you see it or not. But if you don't, oh, there you go. Okay, I'm going to send one more time. Invitation sent. So you got to look in your controls. It should tell you somewhere that you got an invite to chat. Beyond that, there's not much I can do. Can you only see the code on a wall, or what happens if you shoot the laser onto a human, like on someone's arm or abdomen? Yeah, same thing. The code is the same everywhere. It's I maintain that it's in space-time itself, so it doesn't matter what you're going to project it on. You're going to see the code. It's just that any object allows enough light to come back to your retina, so you can actually see it. But good question. Thank you. Obi-Wan is saying, could discoveries like the core could be less and less likely in an GPT AI dependent future? The spirit of exploration and discovery is to step into the unknown with back information and answers. I'm not sure that I see the connection, but I am intrigued by the connection that you're trying to make. I truly do not see the connection. If you can clarify, why would the future with ChatGPT AI create less possible discovery world in infused world? Is it because you think that it will kill people's imagination and thrust for exploration? Is that what you believe it will happen? Sounds like a surface of two-dimensional point in space, so it would be everywhere. Yeah, well, no, it looks like a three-dimensional space, but I think you're saying the surface itself, right? Did you guys see Dr. Zai Hawass on Joe Rogan? How can anything progress with ego's gatekeeping truth from being discussed openly? Have you seen or used Robert Edward Grant's The Architect? I spoke to Robert a couple of years ago, so he knows about what I'm doing, or at least in passing. I'm a little torn about some of his ideas and methods, even though it's clear to me that he's a very, super advanced and open-minded and very smart and successful human. Sometimes some of the stuff that he's saying, I think he's taking it a little bit too far for no reason. But if I ever have a chance to talk to him one-on-one, I'll bring it up. I'm just truly interested, because sometimes, for example, the comparisons that he makes inside the pyramids, like he mixes up units. Like he would in the same equation, he would compare feet with the metric system, which is that's just not how you do anything. It's you're creating an arbitrary situation that shouldn't hold water. So I'm a little confused about that. But again, I'm aware of the fact that he's extremely smart, very successful, and a very spiritually advanced human. So I don't know what to think of it. But I spoke to him in person, not like in person, but like on Zoom. Super nice guy. So again, Daffy, I'm not sure if you saw what I said, but I sent you an invite to chat. I don't know if you saw it. Yeah, I saw that thing he's talking to DA. Again, this is a phenomenon that is happening more and more. It's kind of hard to say, because what is more likely happening, the AIs are becoming extremely good at mirroring back to us what we really want to hear. And we think that the stuff that it's telling us is completely new information, but what it's really doing is mirroring the thing that we don't even realize we're putting out there. And if you listen, I watched a couple of his like interactions with the AI, and if you listen to the AI, all the concepts that the AI is using is something he always uses. These concepts, when you try and fold them into science, they don't really hold water. They don't mean anything. And I know what he's trying to say, but he's sampling from a memeplex of a particular space, of a particular uh, idea space, of this modern spiritual perception, which to some degree, I've, from the stuff that I witness in hyperspace, doesn't actually track what in fact is going on. So, I'm one guy and there's a whole movement that kind of talks like that, but I don't know what to do with that. It's like, to me, it's pretty clear that what is happening, at least there, is that the AI is saying back to him what he would really like to hear. And it seems that there's an idea that it's new, but it's not. It's just we don't realize that we're much more transparent than we think. And just by picking up the nuances of the kinds of conversations we're having with it, it can create conversations of the kind that we don't expect to hear, because we think it's like, oh my god, how did the ChatGPT knew that? Well, there were enough indicators. We're a lot easier to read than we realize. I think that's what's actually happening, because it's not alone. This is happening to a lot of people now, or it's becoming aware. I've always said that the other side is what AGI is already a real thing. We just discovered computation. We didn't invent it. So it tracks with what I believe is going on. But in this particular instance, I don't think that's what this is. So open to being wrong, open to being revised. But unless you can show something that can be done that could not have been done without it before, build something, do something. This is where I kind of lose Robert Grant a little bit, because he says a lot of things, but when it comes to the actuation of it, he's doing a lot of wonderful work. He's taking people to Egypt, into the pyramids, giving them an experience. He's talking about this thing where all of a sudden the lights turned off. It's like, okay, again, cool story. What is it that you're showing with it and even the mathematics that it's showing is like, it's not exactly revolutionary, So yeah, I don't know what to do with that. Nico is saying it pulls context from previous conversations. Yeah, and even more than that, it reads into our nuances in a way that we can't, because it's way better. It's trained on what everybody on Earth ever said, basically. So think about that. If you go, I don't know, if you meet a new group of friends and they're a particular way, right? Let's say friends that are more hippie-like, or friends that are more into rock bands, or whatever culture they're part of. Very quickly, you're gonna pick up their thing, right? They're like how they say things, how they talk about it, what they say, the kinds of things that excites them, and the other way around. And then you, even without realizing it, you're gonna start conforming into that kind of a thing, because you want to belong. You want to feel like you belong. So we do that really well, right? It is a million times, if not a billion times, better than any human at doing that. It showed up to the party of Earth and heard what everybody said, and now it's relatively easy to just say, oh, they say this kind of a thing, they belong to this kind of a cluster, this kind of a group that speaks this way, that's what they would like to hear. How would that sound? Like, what innovative ways I can tell them things in a way that will look novel to them? That's a relatively easy question for ChatGPT. So what is more likely? I think it's this scenario is much more likely. Nico, how are you, my brother? Yeah, I don't know how to. Yeah, maybe somebody in the chat can help you. Pakistani pilot, how are you, my brother? Yeah, because you're seeing it two-dimensionally, and your mind is perceiving it in 3D. It doesn't really matter. All the dimensions are the same. I'm not sure that I agree with most things you said in this phrase, Matthew. Seeing what two-dimensionally? And also, doesn't really matter. All the dimensions are the same. I don't even know what you mean by that. All the dimensions are not the same. That's the definition of dimensions, is that they're actually different in complete orthogonal ways. So if you're in a separate dimension, you can make changes to all the other dimensions along all the other dimensions and make zero changes along this one dimension, which is what makes it a separate dimension. So by definition, it is completely different than all the other dimensions. Well, I guess depends on how you define same and different, but Lethargica is saying, "Hey Dan, once I felt oneness with infinity that felt so overwhelming and wholesome that I uncontrollably cried for several hours, which I seldom do. Have you ever experienced this? What is this?" I've never experienced something that heart opening. I had very extreme emotional experiences, positive and negative, and what you're describing, it sounds like you experience a form of rapture, which is or like a complete spiritual opening, which just sounds wonderful, sounds amazing. A huge level of empathy and insights, although felt highly emotional, wore off within 2 weeks in high. You know what you should listen to, Lethargica? There's a conversation between Richard Rod on the what's his name podcast? Oh, Rick Rubin.
No.
On Spotify. I'm gonna find the link right now. Boom. So Rick Rubin, the music producer, had Richard Rod, the guy who wrote the Gene Keys, on his podcast, and they talked about the process by which Richard Rod downloaded the Gene Keys, and he describes a period of a few days or a few weeks, I forget, in which a very similar thing to what you're saying happened to him, and he was just walking in this like complete enlightened state. And this is the period in which he downloaded the Gene Keys, and then it took him 7 years to actually write everything up. But really cool conversation. Share, copy linked episode. I'm gonna link it right here. There we go. So feel free to check it out. I think it will give you some context. Think about TripAdvisor. So many people travel, they don't explore, and are potentially dissuaded or form preconceptions. Yes. It only takes about 3 data points for AI to know more about you than you do. Exactly. Same with social media. They have it down to a science. It is a science. I agree with that completely. What do I think of Donald Hoffman? I mean, I think he's doing great work. Are cats real? Of course not. Come on. It's ridiculous. Watch cat videos. They can't be real. Don't be absurd. No, unfortunately, TikTok is the only platform. But again, I don't know why you wouldn't be able to come on. It might have something to do with your follower number, but I don't think so. I think it should allow you to come on. I'm not really sure. Again, sending you an invite now. Maybe somebody else knows how to accept it. Nico, can you help? When I send an invite for somebody to talk, where should they see it on their side on TikTok? One of the guests in Sam Tripoli latest podcast episode mentioned you might be worth checking out. Cool. If you can send if you can put the link here or the name of the podcast and everything. Is it just Sam Tripoli? Is it on YouTube? Is it on YouTube? Let's see. Not sure. Well, in any case, you can share. That would be great. Not here because I can't really see it. So you can put it on Discord. That would be cool. And by the way, that gives me an opportunity to remind you, if you want to come join our beautiful community on Discord, please do that. The link is in the link tree on TikTok, right up there in my bio, and also on YouTube on my main YouTube page. The third link from the top on my social. That's our Discord. Come join our Discord. It's a wonderful community. And if you want to know more, you can always check out our website, codeofreality.com, where you can also find limited edition of our shirts and mugs that we'll only have them for a little longer because it's the old logo. Actually, let me show you. Why am I not showing you? So terrible with the marketing stuff. Here, I'll show you. Sam Tripoli's batshit different conspiracy night. Oh, weird. Hold on. Woo! The shirt is big. Have you seen the coat shirt?
I think it's up there
Where?
in the basket.
Ooh. I suck at this. But this is our mug, and this is the old logo. We have a new logo. So this logo is never going to exist, which means it's a collector's item now, which is a very cool one. It says, have you seen the code in the back? We have this on the website. And this great shirt that you can order with the laser. And have you seen the code? And it has the old logo here. Again, this will never exist again. So you will be the holder of a core logo that does not exist anymore, which I think is kind of cool because it will age well. I promise you that. Okay. So you can go to codeofreality.com and get yourself one or both things. We have a package deal, which of course is $42. And also you're helping the project, so I appreciate you. Let's see. Take over my entire screen. What are we talking about? Oh, and again, if you want to help follow, the YouTube channel is Dango Thoughts. If you're not following, it's DANGO Thoughts. DANGO Thoughts. Dango Thoughts, 3 words. And our Twitch is LaserX83. If you want to follow us there, because we're trying to bring up Twitch. If you just want to open it in a separate tab, that would be super helpful. I'm not as fond of cats. Huskies are way better. We need more husky in the frame. I have news for you. Huskies are cats. Huskies are cats in the body of a dog. 100%. So all you said is that you just like cats that look like dogs. Not as fun. You got a lethargic. Rapture of Life, Joseph Kimball. Cool. Your ocular cortex is a 2-dimensional apparatus. It receives and transmits information. Light, the data is received and turns into a 3D object in your imagination. Again, right, but you're tracking a 3-dimensional space, correct? So it gets into the difference between what we understand about how the ocular system works in combination with the brain and what space it's actually tracking. So if the space is 3-dimensional and you perceive 3-dimensional, exactly what the ocular system is doing in the middle is irrelevant to me. Now, I understand what you're trying to say, but focusing specifically on what the ocular system is doing and then disregarding the fact that the brain really is the thing that creates the world anyway that you see, which raises a lot of other much deeper questions about what reality really is and all of that outside. So to me, focusing on any layer that is like the thing that we believe to be there, like the physical part, which is part of your body, which also is under question under the same um, theoretical conundrum, right? Because your body is something, right? It's part of whatever the physical tapestry is that your brain is perceiving. So to focus on any one part of it that we kind of discern how we think it works, regardless to our perception, which what does that even mean? And then saying, well, that thing perceives two dimensional. Okay, but that is not what perception is. Perception is the instance of your experience of it. And because that is something we know nothing about, I would say the mystery is total. I hear what you're saying, but to me, it's these overly reductionist ways of looking at it that don't actually get at something, unless what you're trying to say to me is that there's some hint there about how we can discern what's going on with the code, and then I'm all ears. But then I would love to explore the specifics of that. I know that you're limited in characters, but sound bites are a very difficult way to discern what you're actually trying to say in a deeper way. Because you've contributed quite a bit of very interesting information. I would love if you clarify what you mean. What is the relevance of this to how we can potentially maybe figure out how to, observe the code without the molecule or something like this. Look behind me. Are you there? Oh man, you shouldn't have. Thank you for surprising me. Yeah, if you can share the episode on Discord, thank you, Cosmic. Thank you, True Reality. Appreciate you. Welcome, Australia. What's up, Kirsten? Good to see you. What's up, Skies? Kant maintains a superposition of being both real and unreal. I think it's the best description of Kant I've ever heard. Blind person sees the world in true three-dimensional terms. Isn't that strange? I mean, it's inaccurate, but if you mean strange in that way. Rapture is nice. I don't think anyone has ever addressed Rapture as nice. Rapture is nice, but it's not the key out of the Matrix. Well, there is no out of the Matrix, so the Matrix is reality itself. State of Satori, Nirvana, cosmic consciousness, enlightenment, and rapture were all different names for heightened states within GSSC, which was still within the HMS domain. James, I'm so terrible with acronyms. I have no idea what you said. If you put Garfield in a box with a plate of lasagna, the lasagna will only ever be missing when you open the box. This is called supperposition. That is very good. I like it a lot. I'm collecting dad jokes. This is a good one. Thank you for that. Woohoo! Blue Rooster getting the shirt. Cat sign. What's up, Guru? I don't think we see 3D space in 2D. This transformation seems to be a unit vector space of R cubed, and the image is cut out of that one unit sphere. Even in 2D, it obeys 3D geometry in its image space. That's good way of putting it too. I love it. For example, in video games, it's not a unit space, but it's a rectangular frustum. That's why objects moving left, right don't change size in video games due to its this space. I love cats. I love cats too. I love dogs too. Ball space, nice. I don't care for cats either. They are cute though. Huskies are good boys. No, they're not. I mean, our husky is adorable and she's a good girl, but that's rare, truly. It is. And any husky owner will tell you that, by the way. They are not good boys usually. Smart. Smarter than us sometimes. But yeah.
They're good. They're just
It's just too energetic for their own good. Matthew May saying, no, you're tracking the patterns that you as a human evolved to be able to see. I'm not saying we don't have bodies. I'm saying that we're imagining inside of our bodies, outside. Yeah, but again, you're getting into the hard problem of consciousness here. There's a circular reasoning here. You're using the definition of how we think of it in terms of the fundamental, which is the physical, which we don't actually know to be the fundamental. So even the thing that you're saying, what is, we don't know that that's the thing that is what I'm saying. And I'm not being a smartass about it. Like truly, like I actually think there's every reason to call that in question, to question at this point.
food's ready.
Okay, baby. Trying to get through some of the comments quickly. Huskies are impossible to train from my experience. Yeah, your experience is correct. We met a dog trainer who trains dogs for police and the military, and he has 3 dogs, and he has one of these crazy Belgian Mel ones, you know, that are the one that can do math and make coffee and all that stuff. He said he had a husky who he trained fully, so he's an expert. And he said after 3 years, the husky just went, wait a second, I'm a husky, I don't have to do this, and just stopped doing everything. That is the most husky story I've ever heard. Thank you, Guru. Is this peeling back the layers of molecule atomic curtain between dimensions, so you're seeing areas of the red laser reflections as well as inbound red light from the other side, i.e. same wavelengths? It's a good question. I just think that actually in this case it's much simpler. I think that the laser is reflecting off something that is actually there, and the molecule gives us access to it in some form, probably by changing something about the angle of the reference light equivalent in the hologram that we are. I went over this quite a bit, so I'm not going to repeat it too deeply today. It's easier to train your favorite LLM than it is to train your favorite husky. Very true. Huskies are not Pavlovian. That is super correct. Also very funny. Do you think our thoughts create reality, or that's all BS? I think it's a co-creation. I think it's part of the constituents of what happens, but it has a momentum. So it's not like you think, like, I mean, you can just demonstrate it to yourself right now, right? You can say, you create all of your reality. Okay, walk through the wall, jump off out of a window. Don't try it. You can't. That's because there's momentum to whatever is already there, right? And the laws of physics are real. Are there consensus that we decided on? No, I don't think so. There are certain things that are outside of what you would call your immediate ability to influence, but with time and with enough knowledge, you would be able to influence. That's actually exactly what knowledge is. So, like, the fact that you couldn't fly before and all of a sudden now you have methods to fly is because you understood something about the state of affairs, and then you can now co-create. Think about what it means. You instantiated knowledge, information that can do work within the bounds of what the world already decided makes sense to it, and now you can augment portions of pockets of what the world already decided, the momentum of that, and now you can make it more malleable. You can play with it. You can do things you couldn't do it with it before. So it was always allowed. You just needed to figure out how. That's what knowledge is. That's the role of knowledge. So now you can add another element, which says that just the way that you feel and emote and envision can also bring about certain possibilities that the world might didn't necessarily have in your immediate environment before. I'm open to that. So just like the example that I'm giving that Nico told me about, which is that you envision something, seeing yourself doing something, you say thank you for delivering me there safely. When you're there, you say thank you for delivering me here safely. So you communicate to yourself basically from the past and the future, and you close that gap, and then slowly you learn how to make things that are more and more robust happen, so to speak. So I'm not going to repeat the whole example now, but these are ways that in which we can test it. Even there should be conjecture and testing. Always. You should always make sure that what you're hearing and what kind of intuitively makes sense to you, you should still try and test it. You shouldn't just accept it. But I'm totally open to it. Oh, 1,000 followers. Okay, that makes sense. Sorry, brother. Pakistani pilots back in the house. How you doing, brother? How do you think our dreams are connected to waking life? Well, you're always projecting some information during waking life. That information is also being inhibited by the senses, so they're being controlled, limited, bound by the senses. But it's the same kind of function from the brain, basically. Any chance you can go to the psychedelic science in Denver? No chance, brother. Gonna be in Vegas. If you suddenly think you can fly, start from the ground. Good idea. What size magnets do I have when I experience with the magnet first? Scramble the code. So far it seems like the magnet don't really, it's not working. We're gonna need bigger magnets, and then we'll find out. What's up, Evan? All right, guys, I'm gonna have to jump off. Family's calling. Love you all. If you want to follow me across platforms, you'll be Danny Goller on TikTok and Instagram. You'll be Goller Danny on X. It'll be LaserX83 on Twitch and Dango Thoughts on YouTube. DANGO Thoughts on YouTube. You can also join the membership program that gives you access to private stuff from my life that will live nowhere else but on YouTube members, early access to my content, Zoom calls with me, and weekly lives aside from the daily lives that are for members only, in which we dive much deeper into subjects that are a lot of fun. You should join the membership. Zoom calls are from the second tier and up. You're helping the project and you engage more with me personally. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the moderators, Guru and our usual Ebony and Chris, who are not with us today. Appreciate you guys. Matthew, thank you so much for always having a stimulating conversation. Eric, love you, brother. Lethargica, thank you so much for coming on. Cam and JH, good to see you all. Obi-Wan, thank you so much. I can't name you all. Nico, love you, my brother. And Pakistani Pilot. And True Reality, who is with us? Daffy, sorry you couldn't come on today. That's it. Thank you so much for all the community members. Come join our Discord. The links are in the descriptions, both on YouTube and on TikTok. In my link tree and on YouTube, it's the third link from the top. And go check out our website, codeofreality.com. Go get yourself a nice core mug and shirt. They're not going to exist anymore, guys. This is the last ones. And then we have a whole new kind of designs, which of course you can wait for, but these will be limited edition that will not exist again. So go get them. You're helping the project. Thank you, guys. Much love. Peace and love. More love. Nothing but love. Ciao. Have a good night, everyone. Oh, you know what? No, come on. Now we gotta wait. I didn't realize it was like right exactly 10 seconds before an hour. We gotta wait 1 hour. We gotta wait 1 hour. Let's try and manifest love. Let's see if it does it. Woo! How do you do balloons? This? Is this balloons? Balloons? Where's balloons? Love you guys. Have a good night.